Hey guys, welcome. Today we'll be working on the loot filter again. I'm working on the upcoming loot filter update. In the past 2 or 3 streams, we've been doing a lot of work regarding improving the filtering system. First we've done some general filter improvements, and afterwards we started reworking the code that generates the filter and done some improvements to the economy tiering. And today we'll be actually using that code in order to draw practical conclusions. So what I'm doing here is, and let's see if it still works, just to give you a little bit of an introduction there. In PoE1, I'm getting most of my economy data from PoE Ninja. In PoE2, I'm currently getting most of my economy data from PoE2 Scout. Please work. Might be still doing the APIs, might take a while. Okay, good. It didn't crash. Cool. So, and this is the situation we have right now. You can see we can actually browse the price of all of the orbs in-game. And this is definitely wrong. I think this is, I'm not even sure what it's trying to tell me. I'm not sure why transmutation shard is displayed as 4 chaos. So that's kind of different question there. But this is the information we are getting from the economy data. So the currency data is somewhat unreliable in my experience. But on the other hand, the other types of data, at least when it comes to higher prices, is working very, very well. So we can take a look at something like essences, and we can pretty easily figure out what essences are worth something and what are worth nothing. Furthermore, if you take a look at this, you can already see what kind of tier are these essences right now in the filter. So today we'll start working on a tiering system. So before that, for PoE2, I've been doing it mostly manually. And it actually takes quite a bit of effort to set up a proper tiering system that does all of this automatically, especially since it also requires us to do quite a bit of aspect work. So aspects are these things on the right side. These provide meta information for tiering, and I can assign every single individual item any amount of these aspects. And these help the algorithm to do better tiering decisions. We can also disable and enable certain aspects for certain tiers. We'll look into that a little bit later. Especially this aspect system is so important for things like divination cards, which are not in-game yet, and uniques. You can see, we can take a look at where these things are right now in-game. Right, yeah, these are basically the plans for today. Aspects, tiering systems, getting this to work a little bit better than it is working right now. So where do we start? I think we start by reviewing the aspect systems. I'm gonna go to the aspects. I'm not even sure what the state for those is right now. So we have this is the list of all existing aspects in the code. We see the handled, anchor, pull, drop. I'm using these for specific things. I'm not going to remove any of those, but I would like to decide if an aspect is actually used for PoE1 or for PoE2. And I'm not sure if I actually have anything related to that yet. I have this behavior dictionary right there. And retrieves aspects of type. Behavior contains aspect group. So there, I don't really have any logic added to design aspects that are only relevant for one single game. This is the migration list, not so important. So, excuse me. Right, let's proceed. Now I'm wondering if I need to do this whole aspect per system review right now. I'm thinking kind of what kind of way would I want to approach it. This aspect blacklist. Okay, so I can make certain aspects ignored in the game. So I do have this option right now. Blacklisted. Aspect blacklist. Yep, code stream. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I honestly wanted to do more Unity development today, but I do need to make some progress on the filter as well. So right now I'm there's no real big pressing issues for the filter update. There's some things I need to do, but I'm kind of alternating between the two right now. Okay, aspect blacklist. And the reason for that is, quite honestly, because I don't find PoE2 very super exciting right now. I think if there would be actually interesting content to enjoy, I would be much more hyped to do PoE2 based development. But I'm not actively playing PoE2 anymore. Okay, let's take a look at this again. How exactly do we contains? No, it should be fine. Okay, let us skip the aspect cleanup for now. Let us directly start with the processing. So the first thing I would like to take a look at is the question if we need to do any sort of enrichment. Enrichment procedures. So what are enrichment procedures? This is the act of enhancing the economy data with further information. And I am gonna just yoink these procedures from PoE. One. So I don't need everything. So we're gonna take a look on what kind of procedures can be used here. So we have need currency information extract search. Yeah, we don't need this one. Uniques are here as well, right? Yep. We're gonna remove this. And this is pretty much the enrichment we should do. So in most cases, we need to add all of our tier lists that you want to address there right in here. Let's take a look at our filter policy file. Let's decide what kind of enrichments we want there. So we're gonna add a sockets.core here. And by the way, the reason I'm so excited for Unity right now is I'm in the middle of the enchantment rework, and I'm currently testing and building kind of runewood-like structures, and it's just super fun to implement them. But it'll have to wait. Currency omen, socket runes. And finally, fragments generic. These are all of the enrichments we are launching. on top of that, we should add the unique enrichment. And that is unique generic. All right, let's see if this does something. Okay, it seems fine so far. So if we go to item info, we can actually click on any item, and it doesn't actually do much for us. We don't really see any difference, but the enrichments are running. We can probably see this with uniques. Yeah, we can see there's, for instance, this highest price field that is calculated by the enrichment, and you can do all kinds of other things there. It's not exactly very crazy, but it allows me to basically to pre-process the data and do a bunch of checks. These enrichments already work for PoE1 quite well, so we can just accept this data. So let's start by... Now the good thing is I have already built this system for PoE1, right? And in PoE1 I haven't exactly... In PoE1, we have some things being different, but some things are still similar. So I'm going to start with one single tier list that is pretty simple. We're going to take something like essences there, and we're going to try to do some tiering of the essences that are being here. So we can see there are some very expensive essences, there are some cheaper essences. So I'm going to see if my code actually works here right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look into how I'm doing it in PoE1. Sorry, in PoE1. There we have concrete rule sets. We're going to open PoE1, and we have the PoE1 rule set strategy. We have the PoE2 rule set strategy, and we see there's just no strategy for PoE2 right now yet. So I'm going to start by copying some very simple strategy from PoE1. Which one is that? We have something like... One second. So I'm going to show you how a complicated strategy looks like for now. Let's say uniques. This is the unique tiering strategy for PoE1. I have reworked this code hundreds of times. It's not a lot of code, but there's a lot of math going into thinking how to tier uniques correctly. So we're gonna go with something simpler for now to start off. So here's some, I would call them kind of ad hoc strategies. These are very simple. And these ones basically just work with a bunch of thresholds. So we're gonna grab the simplest one of them, like this one, and see if we can adopt it to PoE2. Alright, so we're gonna grab it there, move it to here right now. So I'm gonna paste it here. First of all, I'm gonna input the references. So we took the fragment strategy from PoE1, the scarab strategy from PoE1. Gonna remove these multipliers there. We're gonna go with the OG numbers there, and we do have some explicit threads. Now I don't want to start with the... I'm not gonna start with the trickiest thing, but first of all we need to do some adjustments, I think. And let me actually check if this is the case. So we're gonna look into the P2 body, and this is the PoE2 body file for the filter. So let's take a look at the essences, and we see the essences are named S, A, B, C, D, E. This is kind of the tiering I'm using for PoE2. I try to change some of the things I do in PoE2, kind of doing a little bit of evolving my system. So I mean, I've been doing things in PoE1 for a long time, and in PoE2 I wanted to review some of the long-standing decisions. Thank you, Gating Laser. Yeah, I'm looking forward to game development as well, but this needs to be done as well. So I'm currently alternating between the two things to stay updating those. So we need some way to properly address this in PoE2. I would ideally not want to change these names to something like, well, to T1, T2, T3, T4. I would like to use the same tiers, and I would like for this code to be agnostic. So we have this T1, T2, T3, T4 code, and I would like to see how often do we have these strings there. But you see, it only is there 2 times. So it's only here with the comparison if higher and if lower. So what we can do is we can actually try to make it a little bit smarter than that. We can make these things a little bit more abstract and depend on the game, because in PoE1 it's T1, T2, T3, T5, T6, and I think I forgot T4. In PoE2 it's S, A, B, C, D, E. Now there's multiple ways of doing it, and we're gonna start with not the cleanest way. So we're gonna go into a class, I'm gonna call constants there, and we're just gonna add a new constant right there. Add a public static dictionary out of a string to a list of, what do I actually need? So I need the input string is something like T1, then or 1, and then the secondary thing needs to depend on the context, right? So we can add a tiny struct there. Or we can do this and then go with a dictionary, and then we can give it a game type, and the result will be a string. And we can call it standard tier names per game. We're gonna create a new version of that as a static, so we can initialize it in here in code. We're gonna go with a very ugly approach here. So if we can hard code it here if we want to, or we can add it right there. Initialize class-based list, and we can add something like where this is getting code, initialize from the filter procedure and from the barebone procedures. Both seems perfectly reasonable to me. So let us do that. Initialize, how do we call it? A standard tier name. It's going to be a very minimal local method. So we can tell standard names will be first a new dictionary, so just in case, keep things clean. And then we can add, oh, Copilot, thank you so much. We can add this piece of code, but we need to change it a bit, and the same thing goes here, right? But in PoE2 we want to use S, A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so now we can grab these names. All right. Now, when it comes to the commands we had before, we can go back there. Okay, and we have these commands. And I wanna go to constant. It's actually in the filter core. No, I need to pass on that. That is not good. Let us move it out somewhere else. So that's gonna go into the global config. Okay. To sort this through a little bit, but that is okay. Okay. Finishes from Jason, drive roles. Okay, let's try this. Public static get your name string TN, and we're gonna global config current Yeah, let's store that. This is the config there. Now we can tell config. This is slightly better. Okay, so what does this mean? We can now use this code to grab the property name. Okay. This might just work. It's definitely not the best approach to working with that, but these are minimal operations. So what have I actually done? We have now designed a way to address any tier independent of the game with the same function, which I think is worth something. And we can now tell what kind of rules we want to affect with that. So let's grab currency assets. We're gonna tell we want to apply these economy rules with default settings to that. And then I can add an explicit trace here with E that is totally fair for me. And we're just gonna tell that this needs to be executed. I have no idea if this works, but this should apply a minimal tiering algorithm to our whole task. Alright, so let us take a look. We can look into essences. We can tell it to, hey, please tier that. We see it doesn't do anything yet. Okay. Interesting. I wonder why. At the same time, we do have the prices. So is this being called? Yes, it is. Huh. Something is amiss. This pastel abyss. Okay, let's take a look at PoE1 strategies for a second. Maybe there is actually something to it that I forgot. Wait, is this just this or rules.add? Concrete economy rules. Rules.add. Okay. About now. Also, it's not Scarabus, we need to rename that. Alright, so let's switch to essences. And there we go, there's already some information there. Now we see the rules are not actually applying because it claims no data found. I have a few ideas why it's not really working. We'll look into them in a minute though. So I'll be right back, short bio break, also grabbing more coffee. I'll see you soon. Alright, I'm back, and I brought Mochi. Assistant cat. With a little bit of luck, you'll get some more snacks later on. Oh, you fluffer. So, Mochi aside, I'm not exactly certain why we get this no data found thing. In fact, there's a bunch of reasons why this may happen. I think what is actually going on is a sort of safety procedure on my end. So in PoE1, I don't view a certain item as a legitimate price if we don't have a confirmation of the amount of items handled. Unfortunately, this is not a luxury we have in PoE2. So let's figure out what no data found does. No data found. There's our single spot where this happens. The safety rule applies. What we can do is, especially if we're still debugging, which I'm not so certain. I don't think we are. I am pretty sure if we restart that, yeah, it's the indexed count. Well, can we do something about that? Well, the easiest thing we can do is, we can add an option for that in the global config for a game. No other properties? Okay. There's not a lot of bull properties in this file. Okay, well, that's also okay. Let us add a new property there. Public bool is using index count values. We're gonna set it by default to true. Gonna make it a property, of course. And we're gonna add this to our list. So now we can, by default, it is true, and we can override it for our PoE2 configuration. There we go. That means PoE2 can now ignore this property. But we still need to use that. And we have to use it here. Let's disable this for now. You see there's a bunch of to-dos here. But the important part is this rule should only apply if we tell global config current is using index count for values, and only if this is false, then we do this part. Do we use index count anywhere else here? No. Alright, let's see if this has enough effect. Ah! Not exactly sure what's up with the graph. Actually, I know what's up with the graph. But cool. Now we see this sort of tiering thing. We see the current tier and we see the new tier. So for instance, in this case, we see it would move the greater essence of electricity from A to S. And you might at this point wonder, well, when exactly does it move from A to S? What exactly is a price threshold? And you're totally right about that, because I haven't actually configured this at all, and we are still using the values from PoE1. Since this has not been used. There are some properties there, and we can completely ignore this for now. So let us remove this. Let's continue taking a look at how this is structured. So what we can do right now is we can gonna restart the application there for now. At the same time, I need to look for something. Give me a second. This is the tier progression for PoE1. These are the values that I'm using for PoE1 to determine if a certain item belongs into a certain tier. And as you see, it kinda caps out at 200 X per divine. Now the PoE2 situation is obviously different. The divines are more expensive than PoE2. And we're also using Exalted Orb instead of Chaos Orb. So we will need to do some adjustments. Let's take a look at the locks. Why is this menu so small? Let's add this ratio in there so that we can properly review what kind of ratio we currently have. Let's take a look at the logs. Log into it should be visible. Oh, there it is. Divine ratio 280. That's already pretty loaded. I want to look for the number 200. Is it in the config files? Yeah, we have this maximum chaos price and code 200. Now the property is a little bit more named right now, but This is not the issue. Maximum chaos price. Where is it being set? It's being set here. Where is that being called? So we need to cap this with the maximum chaos price, right? So this part. We're gonna use a mass. We're gonna use the smaller number between the ratio and the maximum chaos price. Now we of course want to adjust the maximum chaos price there as well. For PoE2, 200 is probably insufficient. We're gonna leave it at 275 for now and see how it progresses. Alright, now this kind of brings us to our chart. And we're gonna rename that. And we're gonna duplicate this for PoE2. Now let us expand these numbers. So the way that I'm doing it, I'm no longer working here with something. So my previous algorithm that was way worse, was using specific numbers. So what I mean by it was using scaling numbers. So what I mean by that is the price would scale of a percentage of the actual DeviantArt price. And it worked in theory, and it sounded like a good idea at first, but the problem was it was actually pretty problematic to get right the scaling at some points, because sometimes you actually kind of want to have a easier smoothened out algorithm and want to have an easier time controlling how it scales. So what I'm going to do here is instead I want to control the whole general algorithm there. So there's always two parts of it. There's the generic part, the static part, and the scaling part. The static part is always the same, independent on the price in the economy. So first of all, let us adjust these thresholds there. So we're gonna go with 275 there. Then I want to adjust these a tiny bit as well. This doesn't, by the way, doesn't really have a major effect there, it's just label. But we can think about how the economy is currently working out. And I think as of right now, 55 is a little bit too low of a threshold, but we should study the other prices before we decide that. I think with a chaos or exalted ops threshold of so high, I do believe we probably want to use exalted ops threshold that is so high. We probably want to use a different approach there. Let's start by reviewing the unique prices. So uniques are kind of a little bit of a tricky thing. So let's scroll by the highest price, and there's still some uniques there that are pretty expensive, right? But if we ignore like the lucky finds and stuff, we see the most uniques are actually not on this level of expensiveness. Some of them have multi-drops and interesting stats, but practically speaking, kind of the jackpot tier starts probably at around 80-ish chaos, and anything below that is not quite as high. Let's observe some of the other ones. So I wouldn't call Zelato to be probably a tier 1 drop at this point. Anything except Ascapa is not a tier 1 drop. With the catalysts, yeah, catalysts are just bad, so let's ignore that. Motion started, yeah. With essences, we would end up with 3 tier 1 essences if we increase the threshold to something like 80. With Omen, there's still quite a few good Omen there. Okay, runes don't really have a major value. Fragments, there's a lot about 90 and above, so I'm thinking about 85 as a threshold. And yeah, we've seen everything else already there, right? There's also the pure currency, but this doesn't really count. Does it? Oh well, there's just a lowest price now, right? Yeah. How do you test this code? Well, there's multiple steps and layers how you do that. The easiest and the most obvious way to test it is just you can test the outcomes, right? So when I generate a filter, I can go in-game, drop an item on the floor and see if it works. Of course, that is insufficient to be very happy with the outcome. So we do have a whole other set of test suits. First of all, Filter Blade acts as testing environment for this piece of code itself. So when I generate filters with this local tool I'm using, I can go to Filter Blade and check, and Filter Blade will see if the filter itself compiles and check the validity of every single rule. And then it will also look for syntax problems or flaws. And if something expensive is hidden for any sort of reason, like let's say mirrors are hidden, it actually informs me that. And there's also Filter Blade also has a very, very extensive set of integration tests that actually make your PC like 8 minutes, where we are trying out all kind of UI and test things. Of course, we also have an extensive set of unit tests for both Filter Blade and Filter Polish Z. We have also a bunch of gates that are basically kind of expectations. Like we expect this item to be in this tier. If this is not the case, then something is wrong or we need to readjust our basic assumptions. And then there's basic playtesting and giving people the code, and not the code, but giving people the filter and seeing how they react. In the end, kinda perfection is not something I am striving for. I strive for high enough quality and the capability of making changes really, really fast. Because PoE is a game that changes a lot and adjusts a lot, and the meta changes a lot. So there will be at some point changes that, no matter how good your code is, that will make your previous decisions invalid and that you can't predict. Let's say someone discovers some sort of item recipe or farming location or new really cool use case for a unique. And this has happened not even dozens, probably hundreds, if not 1,000 times in PoE1. And for some reason, I need to adjust this really fast. So sure, I can write all the tests and integration approaches and gates and automated tests and whatever in the code itself. But in the end, what matters is that I can go into the code, do the adjustments quickly and release it to everyone, no matter the source, as soon as possible. And this is what I actually specialized on. Listening to feedback and doing swift adjustments to high priority topics. Obviously, high priority kinda is a very different thing. For instance, if the item is clearly highlighted in all strictnesses, but doesn't make quite the right sound or quite the right tier, this is not the highest tier of an issue. But yeah, I think this is kind of the... this is kind of the more or less the answer there, right? So, where were we? We've been reviewing the thresholds, right? So, I am aiming for very specific numbers there, and there's a reason why I do that. So first of all, I feel like the static part of the code is probably actually okay. We might raise it up a little bit because PoE2 has a higher general static part, and the T1 rules also seem okay to me. Sorry, everything below T1 also seems semi-okay to me, but let's try to raise the thresholds a tiny bit. So we're gonna go on 35 on the static threshold for currency, and then increase the other threshold to 42, and increase the scaling part by a significantly higher number. So now I want the threshold to be 85 in the at 275 chaos, right? So that means I expect 275. I expect a 50.1 actually let's difference there. So on this one I want to reach exactly the same number there. So here we will take 43.1, and there's the reason for this .1. Actually, we might just go with that. It's not so important in this specific case. And same with this kind of assumption. So this instantly changes the charts down there. Not quite certain if this progression actually looks better yet, but I also want to adjust a few other things. So I do feel like we kind of want to probably adjust these other tiers as well a tiny bit. Specifically T2 could be a tiny bit larger. So we're gonna scale it up from 10 to a tiny bit more. I'm not sure if 20 is the right decision there, but it might just be. Same for this. I do want this tier to be a little bit higher. So the tiers we're looking at is, and we can probably add this here. So this is basically our divine tier. This is kind of the, I'm not even sure what this the announcements here. This is the higher tier. This is kind of the GCP tier, Exalted Orb tier, Alchemy tier, and the low tier. Now we also have the T7, but this is mostly unused for the majority of our PoE2 tiering endeavors. So anything there kind of goes into the low tier, and currency has a little bit of an exception for supplies. So how do we approach this situation? So the GCP tier at 3.1 is kind of the way I want this to be. But I do think I want this to be slightly more scaling. So we're gonna, you might notice that this part doesn't really scale pretty much at all. So I'm gonna set it to 4.1. That means we are expecting the GCP, this to be slightly more than 4 exalts per one single currency in order to get there. 0.7 is after a lot of testing, by the way, nearly the perfect number for this type of scaling. We're gonna stick to 0.2 and pretty much anything below that right there. So the adjustments I want to do here is on the unique part. We're gonna keep the static part very similar, but I do think I want to increase the scaling part a bit here. So the scaling part on this one might go up to 6.1. The scaling part on this one can go by 2. So basically things here will only be accepted. They're kind of like in the 5 exalted orb area. And I'm actually decently okay with the numbers there. This seems reasonable to me as a baseline. Let's see if this system works for me. So let's try to adjust our numbers a tiny bit. It's a little bit annoying to adjust, but we'll figure it out. I'm just gonna move the screens over. So the economy threshold static economic currency. This is 35, 10, 4.107. Okay, this seems perfectly reasonable. Then the dynamic thresholds are different. We have 50 there, 6.9, and no scaling or anything below that. Okay, and then we have economy lower and higher. And I'm actually not exactly sure which one is which. So I'm pretty sure the unique one is the lower one. Let us just compare these. Yeah, this is the lower, this is the unique one. So we're gonna increase the thresholds here, 42. Actually, I think it's 40, 45, it's slightly better. I know, even 39, 46. I think we're gonna go with that. 39, 7, 3.1, 1.1, 0. Okay, this is perfect. And then we're gonna increase this part. So this part increases for up to 46, 6.9, 2, 0.5, 0.20. Okay, this is fine. And the final part is the economy higher threshold static. Let's adjust this one as well. 42, 9, 3.1, 2.1, 0.7, 0.25. Okay, and then the scaling will be 43, 6.9, 205. Okay, cool. So this should adjust the so what I'm basically doing here is I am going through this. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Gating Laser. I completely didn't see your subscription somehow. I hope you're still there, and take my apologies. I don't know when I missed your subscription. Very much welcome. Oh, thank you so much. Right, so let's slightly increase this. Okay, so we have adjusted the numbers. Now we're just gonna launch this application and see how it performs. So we can now take a look at the tiering suggestions. And for now, we only have them for essences, right? Currency essence. And we can already see this tiering is sort of working. So we set our, currently the tier 1 threshold is around 85 exodes. So this is in tier 1, this is in tier 2, this is in tier 3, and so forth. Not so bad, honestly. Now, I might need to do a little bit more thoughts on some other rules here, but the general approach here seems to be working. Now, this is kind of very highly specifically designed for PoE2, and I think this is perfectly fine. Let's see if we can improve it a tiny bit more. Yeah, it's gonna make steering a little bit shitty, so. Just makes this a little bit easier to browse this. Let me take a look at this. It makes it, yeah, so it just makes it easier to sort. So we can see this is a tier 1 rule, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, because yeah, it's easy on the eyes. All right, so we do have some safety rules there, more like remaining rules. This seems a bit suspicious to me. What is the threshold for these right now, for the E tier? Should be around that, right? But we have this 0.7 threshold. What kind of logic do we use for the essences? So first of all, let us rename that. This is going to be the PoE2 rename the essence rules, and we are using the highest threshold object. So this is everything that you can directly sell on the market decently easy without a lot of variation. We'll be using the currency pricing threshold group instead. This is a different type of price scaling. Let's see how it looks. Whatever the reasons why it might appear so, I'm not sure if it appears easy or not, but these are things I've developed over years for PoE1, so I have a lot of special logic and rules there that actually work very, very helpful here. Ah, now we see it. These are D tier runes. Sorry, D tier essences. This looks much better to me. C tier essences are all around 1x. Then we get to B tier essences A and S. This looks a lot better. And we see the distribution is actually totally fine. We might consider moving these a little bit lower, but I'm okay with that for now. This seems alright to me. Just gonna see if this helps it. Yeah, I think this helps it quite a bit. So we see a little bit better visualization on the side. Distributions are nice and they help us understand how things work together. Now I'm not sure about the colors, maybe I need to put some more work in, but I don't think this is currently a big priority, right? Okay, so honestly, essences look fine to me. Now actually we'll need to do a bit more of a sanity check later on in-game, but this does things very, very well to me. But I do think we also need to add the handled aspects there. So what did I just do? What did you just see? So I'm gonna click save, and this is actually something interesting that I want to see if this works. So what I just did is I basically told the game, hey, these items, yeah, you can see the handled aspect is there. We want to store information about them and give each of them the handled type. Now, you might wonder what is it even about? Why handled? So There's a bunch of different reasons. One of them is it allows me to only show unhandled items. So if something new gets added, I can visualize these and review them. For other things, however, for like things like unique, we actually need to do a little bit more thinking if something is unhandled. Unhandled means unknown. Maybe we need to be a little bit more careful with that. In either way, for essences, this actually works out more than good enough. I'm very, very pleased with how easy the tiering went, and the years of polishing definitely helps to keep the system good. So this system can already change everything in the filter. So I'm pretty certain about that. And we should test it out in a second, but for now, I mean, it sees the current year, does the next year. Oh, good. All right, so let's proceed with the next one. So we're gonna grab the cores. Cores are also pretty easy to handle. Let us do that. And if things are very simple like that, I've tried to do some standardization. All right. So now we should be able to reuse the same settings in order to get sockets cores, if I'm correct. Maybe I got the name wrong. And this should already work. Easy peasy. The trick to doing things in like 3 minutes is having everything prepared in the last 9 years. So, let's add handle to all of these. Let's review the tiering. This is the only S tier item, Askapa with 710 exalted orb price. No questions there. These 4 are A tier, so you might argue that Zelato should also be A tier, S tier, but the difference between those is very high, so that is fine. We also have 4 A tier things, a whole bunch of B tiers, and everything else, yeah, a whole bunch of B tiers. I'm a bit surprised that they are all so expensive, but I mean, works for me. If the economy says everything's, oh, they are B tier because you can recycle them in order to generate more Askapas, right? You can 3-to-1 them. That makes total sense. Works for me, as I said before. Let's add handle to them. And I can actually imagine they will remove this recipe. I think this recipe is a little bit silly, or they will change the odds of it. Let's save the information. Right. So these are now handled and everything works. I don't think there's some other sections that are also very easy to handle. In general, things that are very directly marketable and don't have special properties and can be 3-to-1 are incredibly easy to handle. There's not a lot of logic necessary there. We will actually still add some very special kind of like fine-tuned moves afterwards, but I don't want to start with the general way. So afterwards we're going to work through these aspects in order to kind of add the polishing touches that add a lot of quality to this. But I do want to start by tiering emotions. Currency emotions. So same story there. Since they use the same system of tiering and the same system of rules in the filter, we can reuse the same logic we designed here before that. And we can basically grab the emotions, and we already see changes being performed everywhere. Very, very easy, very, very nice. Let's handle those, save these. We are done with those. Hey, Havoc. Yeah, if you're interested in the... I'm not even sure, maybe you're already in Discord. I think you are, right? Or maybe not. But in any case, if you're interested in the game development things, I usually talk about it in the... usually talk about that in my dedicated Discord for that. You can learn more about it there. We'll probably do some more game development tomorrow. I actually had a lot of fun developing Runewood-like structures yesterday. Let me show you kind of the screen I designed before I proceed. So I can basically now design these sort of, let's call them Runewood-like enchantments and upgrades, where you can basically say, if this item has this specific rune socket inside and another rune of this tier, I apply this enchantment with these properties onto it. And the game completely correctly handles it. I can just basically UI style drag and drop enchantments and rune words and recipes and cool effects. That's really, really fun to design. I'm very excited to proceed with that, but today we do need to get some filter work done right now. But yeah, emotions, currency emotions, handled. I never thought that I would say I've managed to handle and master emotions as an autistic person, but here we are, progress. So, next step, what was the next? Omen, right? Probably Omen. Omen. Currency Omen. And yeah, let's start with Omen. One by one, going one through one. We need to, we'll take our time, observe everything, anti-handle tags, and then we'll go into the polishing touches. But this is all kind of like, this is fine, this is fun. We haven't actually taken a look at the scary part, the uniques. Uniques are everything else on easy. This is kind of like breezing through, singing. You know this meme with the guy who is singing and enjoying his life, and then kind of goes into super sweat mode. Yeah, this is what we're about to experience. Yeah, omens are super simple, right? They're also super sillily tiered. You basically have only those. It's really silly. But handled, safe. There's basically nothing really interesting going on there. Okay, do we have another simple tier list? Because I think everything else is actually getting a little more complicated. So runes are definitely not quite as simple because they use a different structure, so we can't even use the same function there. And we might actually leave them alone. I think they are generally a question of other tiering types. We do see that Storm Rune is a little bit higher, so maybe we'll just do a general adjustment to the work we do there. So let's open the P2 tiering file, look for the Storm Rune, move it up by one, just kind of very manual fine-tuning, no big issues there. So we see a Storm Iron Top 2, Glacial Desert, Rebirths, Glacial Desert Inspiration, Rebirths goes one up, Inspiration goes one down, and we are done with everything. Nothing too expensive, no T1 rune exists right now. Yeah, that works good enough for me. But we're not doing any tiering with those, so it's kind of like everything we do, right? Now we get to the fragments. Fragments are and currency and general currency. Fragments and currency need to use a different structure. It's not sufficient for these to go with the normal type, because first of all, these things, the crisis fragments, are not normal fragments. You just can't pop them into the normal tier list. This will bug out. So with fragments and currency, we're gonna use a whitelist structure. That means only items we mark as movable will actually be allowed to move. Let's get into it. So at this point, these little functions are no longer sufficient. So let us try to add a slightly more advanced section. PoE2 currency rule factoring. And I'm gonna steal some things from the PoE1 currency rule factoring. So let us steal, you know what? Let's steal everything. It's my code, god damn it, I can do it. Go. Ugh. Yeah, it's better. So now there's a lot of crap that has nothing to do with PoE1, right? All of these rules, PoE2, all of these rules are designed for PoE2, PoE1, but we can start by just adding them. Rules, add PoE2 currency factory generate. So I bet it will crash, but it might not, because we're actually asking for a whitelist there. Okay, let's take a look what would be generated there, just for the laughs, right? Doesn't seem to be doing much. Currency generic. Currency generic. Is it called currency generic? Currency generic. Yes, it does. All right. So we have the currency pricing threshold group. Require aspects for tiering tierable. And you can remove all of this stuff, right? Oh, maybe we'll wait a bit with removing. These are good ideas from PoE1 that you can reuse. Now let's remove that. That is not really needed. We have these protection rules there that are a little bit annoying, but why not? We have the... Let's remove this for now. Yeah, these rules are also not, honestly, not so clever. You know what? This might just not be clever. Many of these, I think I need to be a little bit more. I don't think I can just take most of that. We'll remove this part. This part above makes sense. So we're gonna build add T1 divine room, and we're gonna add these rules up to tier yeah, exactly these 6. I have no clue what you're doing, but I know it will be in the end good for me. Yeah, I hope so. Well, you don't need to get in contact with coding. You know, there's so many other things you can specialize in life that are arguably more fun for many people. I honestly kind of think, kind of need to be a little bit, let's call it special in order to want to do coding as a hobby. All right, so we got the currency generic running there. And we actually see the currency of an item, right? So we see Mirror of Calandra is in the S tier, but it tells us no tiering. Why is that? Why doesn't it see anything? Now, first of all, I'll handle these. So I'm gonna add a handled aspect to all of these. Now the key is I don't actually want all of the items to be tiered. With certain items, I feel like there's no real need to actually tier them. Because, for instance, there's no... I don't really care what the economy data says me. If Mirror of Calandra will be priced at 3 exalted orbs by the economy data, then I'm pretty damn sure the problem is the economy data. I don't want to change the tiering of Mirror of Calandra. So we can have some base assumptions. Like, I don't really want to move the exalted orb. The exalted orb is a representative orb for its specific tier. And I don't want to move the alchemy orb, because you need the alchemy orb in order to play the game efficiently. Now, you might have enough alchemy orbs already, but then it's your decision to hide them. So there are certain orbs where I'm just certain that should not change their tier. With some others, actually, I'm okay with it. Like Divine Orb, same thing. Divine Orb is kind of right now the tier 1 orb, and I'm okay with them not changing tier. But with some others, like Anoman Orb, Greater Jeweler Orb, Chaos Orb, Chance Orb, not this for some reason, we can actually do some adjustments. So what do we do there? We will give them the aspect code tierable. That means only in the... Other than the other tiering rules, in currency, we demand that the items are tierable in order to be allowed, in order to change their tier. So Annulment is tierable, Chaos is tierable, Chance is tierable, Glassblowers is tierable. Not gonna touch Transmutation Shards. Don't know why it says it was for Chaos. I'm not touching this. Gemcutter Prison is tierable. And that is about it. Everything else, the lower value orbs, are often kind of weird in terms of their tiering, especially right now. So we need better APIs to handle those. So for now, we'll actually do that. Just gonna save that. And then gonna rerun the economy engine, and we can see there are some changes already going on. So we see Greater Jeweler Orb will go from A to B, which is a bit crazy, but well, fair enough. And I'm actually not sure if this is a good idea. Maybe this, for instance, shouldn't go back down below A tier for multiple reasons. And we have the Glassblower, Bauble, and Gemcutter Prism. These go from B to C. So for now, this is already a success. We can now do this sort of simplified tiering there, right? And many other orbs, we are just not managing them. Now, I want to add something kind of a bit special there. If builder price is equal to 1 exactly, then actually not that build if I'm gonna call the rule unreliable. And when I give it that tier, just do not change this thing. And we're gonna place it below this rule, below the exalted op rule. What does that mean? That means if we get the situation where something is worth exactly one exalted op, we don't really want to change it, because this is not a real currency you are usually dealing with. It means in practice, I want this to be changed sufficiently before we start adjusting that path. Just something I kind of do not trust there otherwise. So you see, if it's like lesser jeweler op, one cares. Yeah, I don't think so. On the other hand, these, maybe. And we should probably test our assumptions. It's been a while since I've been online in PoE2. But let's see how reliable these prices are. George, so thank you so much. Much appreciated. Oh, was I on...
Take your time. Not today.
Okay, interesting currency exchange. Alright, so I want Artificer Orb and I have Exalted Orb. So let us see how reliable these prices are. So Artificer Orb is 0.3. We already see it's not a high reliability. The Artificer Orb price we have there is 0.33. That's like more like 0.22. What about currency Blacksmith Redstone? 2 for 1, yeah, it's not reliable enough. We see this is just not good enough. The prices there are more of an approximation and not something we can use. So the price there is like 62 lesser jeweler orbs is 1 exalted orb. Take a look at this thing here. 1 exalted orb is 1 lesser jeweler orb. This is completely bogus. Doesn't really do much. Right, so we can definitely say this approach is not working. So we're gonna stick to our blacklist approach for the lower price items. But for higher price items, you can actually use the normal approach. And I think this is fair. I think this will actually get things done. Let's take a look at something like Gem Cut and Glassblower Bobble. I bet these will be better. Yeah, but even then, I'm not sure this is actually a good system. Glassblower Bobble is... what the hell? 2 of these grant 1. Nope, it's also not good. Gem Cutter, that's terrible. 1 to 1. That is somewhat okay. Okay, so the lower prices are real unreliable. And let's take a look at the Greater Jeweler Orb. This is 13. Yeah, so we see when it comes to the higher prices, there's a little bit of a higher price because it's being traded on the side instead of directly here. but we definitely see these prices are kind of getting more into the realistic direction. And the perfect jeweler orb, 475, yeah. So the expensive ones are correct. So the higher we go on the price hierarchy, the more reliability we can have on the price. The lower we go, the less it's actually useful for anything, which is why I don't really want to use this to do any sort of big decisions for these lower ones. And we might actually need to review our strategy for all lower one tiers. Like for same as every other tier we've done so far, we might actually add some sort of special rule. If the price is below this, only use my handmade tiering for now until we have a better API for economy. Now, we're not publishing the third update today, so this is good enough for now. We're gonna stick to the ones we've done, so we're gonna stick to the higher ones we have allowed. But we already see the glassblower bauble is kinda, oh, it's better than before, to be honest. Alright, this is good enough for now. We're gonna stick to this approach. Let's close PoE. And we continue using our only tierable thing is allowed to be tiered. This definitely opens more to-dos that we are not actually prepared for right now, but we'll figure it out. Now, I do need a second set of these rules. This is not sufficient by itself. We do need to do the same thing for the tiering strategy. Wait, for fragments. PoE2 fragment rule factoring. Same as here, I'm gonna grab this code, paste it here, and we do need to review fragments generic. So we're gonna use exactly the same logic for fragments for now, but it will be adjusted in a couple of seconds. Here, 2 fragment factory generate the rules. Let's take a look. We see these ones are not allowed to be tiered. Why? Because these are not handled. So first of all, we're gonna handle all of these, and then we're gonna make some of them tierable, but not allow them to drop below a certain tier. So my suggestion there is Audience with the King will be tierable, Breachstone will be tierable, Deadly Fate is tierable, Simulacrum is tierable, Cowardly Fate is tierable, Victorious Fate is also tierable. Nothing else is allowed to be tierable. These are kind of special. And now let's take a look, and only one of these will actually change their tier, and this is the Deadly Fate thing going up in a tier, which for me seems like a good approach. The other ones are simply not so simple that we can rely on a full automated approach there. But this is a good start. This is a good start, so we're gonna stick to that. Now, I'm not gonna do more work with the fragments right now. Today we're doing the implementation in general implementation round, and next time we're gonna do the polishing round, where we'll be basically going through everything and doing this, improving the quality of the setup. But what we can do right now is we can add the hardest of all tier lists. So first of all, let us review, is this actually every single tier list? There are still, I think, 3 or 4 tier lists missing. So what we do not have is runes we're not gonna add. Catalyst is something we can potentially review, but I'm rather certain these are not working very well. We have adaptive carapace being at the price of 4, and I'm pretty sure this is all of that looks very wrong. Then we have yeah, basically only these are added left. All right, now let's take a look at the harder section, uniques. Uniques are much harder than any other section by a large margin. Even some of the hardest other sections in PoE1, like divination cards, where you need to resolve the rewards to properly do tiering, or Shaper, Elder, and other influence items in PoE1, is still way simpler than uniques. Sometimes you can still do better decisions in other sections, but uniques are still by far the hardest section to do well. But we'll try, right? PoE2 unique rules rule factory. Now I'm gonna open the PoE1 rule factory. I don't want to copy everything from here, but I do want to have kind of, well, actually we can copy everything from here, but then we will start cleaning this up. Look at this amount of stuff going on there. Ah, God, this is so much. I mean, what happens if you just add that? What kind of wonderful ways will it crash? Does it even work? Because I'm using a lot of the methodology for PoE2. It doesn't even compile right now, so let's see why not. Did I forget? Let's format it up. This needs a lot more work. Oh. But actually, see, it doesn't suggest anything. Let's try adding all of these a handle tag and saving that. This is the first step. Okay, and it now already suggests some changes. This does even crash. This is because why does it actually work this way already? Because I've been one of the reasons why I try to use the same structure for PoE1 and PoE2 for uniques is because I kind of have already solved this problem quite well in PoE1, and I want to reuse as much as possible for tiering for PoE2. Because this kind of makes the task a lot more manageable. And we already see it suggests a whole bunch of changes, and most of them are probably bogus because the aspects are missing. But it definitely also keeps some changes, so that is good. Right. I mean, it's good that I can just slap it over and it suddenly starts working. It is definitely big. But these changes are all nonsense. So why they're nonsense? We need to add information about the aspects. So what I mean by that is, for instance, the silk robe is not a road drop. You can't find it in the by usual gameplay. So you need to find add an aspect telling the rule set you can't find it outside in the world. You can only find it in a very specific location. Once I adjust for that, it adjusts the rule from T3 boss to T3 boss. Before that, it tried to stick into a different tier. So by providing this sort of information, we can adjust the tiering and make it more refined and detailed. Because without it, it just is very naive and it doesn't really work this way. And this needs to be done for every single section. We need to go through every single item and adjust their aspects. And once the aspects are actually working well, the quality of our tiering will be significantly better. Fun fact, right now 84% of items would be moved to hideable. Oh god, no, this is not good. Let's see how much it will be after everything is fixed. I'm gonna take a short bio break. I'll be right back and then we proceed working. See you soon. Okay, I'm back. So where were we? The place where we were, first of all. Hey there, Bunny. Thank you so much for the subscription. The tier 3 subscription, much appreciated, thank you. How are you doing? The place where we were is actually me realizing that the data in this document is wrong. These are not unique names, this is the base type. My parsing is wrong here. Alright, so time to find a solution. First of all, we're just gonna replace this with an empty file. Well, sort of okay is better than terrible. Excuse me. PoE scout item. Right. Gonna try that. Not even being used. Means that lowercase branch key to lower is kind of like very useful. Well, you can do it this way. So if this is the case, then we're looking into a currency type. Else if branch key to lower contains unique, scout type is equal to unique. And we're gonna add this into the converter. So I think we're also gonna put it in there. Apologies, a really annoying cough. So I'm gonna first add if passing type is unique, I'm gonna declare this wonderful line in I is 0. This is just so that I can easily make a breakpoint there. And now I can add the breakpoint here, and once we're doing this sort of passing, I can stop here so that we can take a look at the data a little bit more. So let's take a look at the item that we are inspecting. So the name should be the name, I suppose. So if passing type is unique, we're going to use the name. Otherwise, we're going to use the type here. This should fix the issue. Provides us a little bit more flexibility as well. Let's see. Does it fix the issue? Yeah, we see the name's not correct. Apologies. So now we can add everything to handled, or add handled everything again, and we can save it. Okay, now we can actually add building up this document, because before that we really couldn't. So our next goal for today is to assign the correct types to all of the uniques. This is going to take a whole bunch of time, but let's start out. So we can use some help for that already. Because I've been doing the unique tiering before. Yeah, we have this unique overview information there. And this provides us with an idea of where unique comes from, if it has certain source. So this is the most important information here, to be honest. We also are looking for multi-based things. We're also looking for some aspects like I do have the, what was V again? High variety, right? So V is high variety. B is boss drop. I'm not sure if I'm being consistent with that, because Svalin should be a boss drop and we're not marking that. But we do have the source there. And there's a drop restriction line there as well. So that definitely should be helping out. Alright, but I suggest we just go one by one. So Temporalis. Temporalis only drops in very specific spots. It's a non-world drop. This is the most important aspect we'll be using, non-world drop. It tells that this item drops only from a very specific spot you can't find in the world. That means on higher strictnesses you technically can hide it, because you can only check for this item when you know there's a chance for that. There's Alpha Soul. And for now we're gonna anchor Alpha Soul, or give it prevent hiding, because it is quite important and expensive, and also give it uncommon. Uncommon means, well, I think it's kind of clear what it means. We also have Queen of the Forest. We're gonna give it early league aspect, because no matter what it's expensive, it's definitely gonna be desirable at the beginning. It's not. It is a world drop, so it can drop anywhere, but it also is pretty uncommon. Then we get to molded myths. I'm pretty sure at series acuity, it's a boss drop. Is it not? PoE2 series security. I think there's a mistake there in the table. No, it is actually a world drop. Never mind. It is uncommon, and we don't want to hide that. And then we have Hate Torch. And Hate Torch, however, is a boss drop. So it's a non-world drop. Exciting times we live in. Alright, so then we go to furtive reps. This is of course Center of Wisdom in action. This only drops from Stash. Maligar's Virtuosity. I'm actually not sure about that. I think it's a world drop, but let me check it. Maligaros. Okay, so Maligaros is also a world drop, which means it's just as uncommon. Then we get the Vertex and Glimpse of Chaos. I think the Vertex is a Trial Master drop. No. Can't drop anyway, it can't be changed. So Vertex is also a global drop. So it is just uncommon, but it can drop anywhere. Glimpse of Chaos, I know that for sure. This is a non-world drop, it only drops from a Trial Master. Then we have the Surrender, and I'm gonna assume it's a drop from Stash, but let's just confirm that. It can also drop anywhere. Is this actually correct? Yeah, it's a world drop. It's very interesting. They made a whole bunch of drops, world drops. So that is just there. I'm not even sure how uncommon it is. I'm gonna slap it there, but we'll see. Grand Regale. We know this is a world drop, and this is a case for high variety. There's a lot of things going into that. This is also high variety. High variety means this item, well, there's a lot of variance to the roles of this item. And this kind of, the price varies a lot. Sensor Visage is a non-world drop. And Forbidden Gaze is just a regular drop. Trample Toe. Trample Toe is a typical world drop, but it should never be hidden. There's some definite advantages to that. Then we have the Crucible Tower Shield, Svalin. Svalin is a non-world drop, it only drops from a boss. Kornathaum, I have no idea what this is. Never seen that helm. Apparently world drop, just rare. Blessed Bonds and Killjoy. Blessed Bonds is a non-world drop. Killjoy, on the other hand, I have no idea about this one. Killjoy can drop anywhere. Alright. Thrill Steel is a world drop. Mahoxoto is a non-world. Calm's Heart is just uncommon, but it is a world drop. Grey May. I am pretty sure this is a world drop. But this is one of those high variety. Oh, it kind of is high variety-ish, but I'm not sure about that. Calms is also kind of high variety, right? There's a lot of variety to how it rolls. Mahoxotl also probably is one. Solar Ipse. Solus. Just a regular drop. Wait, no, never mind. Solus Ips is a non-world drop. This is the Grand Visage. Non-world. Outer Robe Covenant. Let's not hide that, and this is just an uncommon drop. Pragmatism is a non-vote drop, and Belly of the Beast is a typical one. Bones of O, I think this is just a vote drop. Powerful, but kind of early league, probably interesting. Ares Vein Swing, this is early league, also let's not hide that. But yeah, this is a vote drop. Crown of the Victor. Crown of the Victor. Crown of the Victor was an early league item as far as I remember. Let's keep it there. Gold Trim is an early league item, it's a vote drop. Carrion Call, pretty sure it was just bad. Then we have the Coat of Red, Corona of the Red Sun. It's also pretty irrelevant. Corpse Weight. Creature of Crimson. Curse of Aldura, Crown the Pale King. We kind of get to this. No one cares about these drops. Demon Stitcher. Doriani's Prototype is potentially somewhat interesting early on. I'm not even sure there. It's kinda Elivor and Folding Dawn. This might be interesting in the early league. Arian's Cobble, Azumite Peak, Foxshade, Gamble Sprint, Ghost March. Ghost Race might be interesting or no. Not sure. Gravebind. Freed's Embrace. Might be interesting early on, not sure about that. These are very typical ones, so nothing special about any of those. What the hell is Idle Hands? Keeper of the Ark. What is Keeper of the Ark? I think it is drop restricted, but I have no idea. So this is an Olros item. It has some very, very terrible stats, but it's still non-vote drop. Kingsguard, Kitoko's Current. Kitoko's Current is kind of cool early on. Learcast, Legion Strike, Lactonio, Pace. Oh, wait, is it a different Lycosite? Did we have one already? Mask of the Sanguimancer. Okay, it's just... Here's just a random item, Feathered Tiara. I think this had some interesting use case. I'm not sure if it's used anymore with the demon form. I really like Mirror's Oxal, but it's not really special in Yugi God. Oxalon is interesting early on. Perfidie. As far as I'm aware, Perfidie is actually a drop restricted item. Non-vote drop. Plague Fingers. Alright. Power Threat. This is just a vote drop, albeit an interesting one. Praise for Rain, a Radiant Grief, Red Flag Conduit, Sappho's Frame, Serpent's Lesson, Shackles. I have no idea what this is. Fine, Echo. This is drop restricted. It's kind of the way you check items. So you check, hey, have you seen this in game? No. Okay, is this an Arbiter of Ash item? Really? Oh, it's a Grand Manchet. Okay. Skill speed, immobilize enemies, mobilize you less damage. Okay, not both. That's fine. Skin of the Loyal is, I'm pretty sure this is also a drop restricted item. This is accessed item, and it's not really good, but it is drop restricted. Snakebite is a road drop. This is cool, but I'm really sure it's a road drop. A breastdome is potentially interesting early on. Dancing Mirage, Divine Diadem, Eternal Sparkle Mask, Immortan. Infinite Pursuit is just very poor and sad. Red Cage, Smiling Knight, 3 Dragons. Vile Knight. Thunderstep. Was Thunderstep something? I don't think so. 3 Fingers. Up Eternal. This was also a road drop, right? Yeah, this drops from the Arbiter. They have Wolfsbane. I'm not sure about the Assailer. I don't think I found that, so it might be road restricted. Yeah, it is the Lyrian one. Atiris this Dane is kind of very, very cool. Definitely an early drop. Non-road. Bronzebeard. Alright. Candle Maker. It's a very cool looking glove. Okay, Calandra's Touch, this is excluded. No wait, Sekemas Resolve, it's excluded. I do have, exclude doesn't mean hidden, it means I have a special rule to detect it. So this is Astromantis is uncommon, but it's a road drop. Dream Fragments is uncommon, but it's a road drop. Same with the other ones. This is also uncommon, everything else is a road drop. Uncommon Zerfish Genesis. I am pretty sure Zerfish is not a road drop. Ingenuity is not a road drop. Thief's Torment is just uncommon and early. Death Rush is, I'm not even sure if it's uncommon. Fireflower. Pretty sure Fireflower is just one of those really rare items. Defiance of Destiny is uncommon. Cry of the Storm is non-road drop. Sure-footed Sigil, I think it's just as rare. Well, not even that rare, but it's a road drop. Carnage Shard is kinda early league. It's pretty good. Soft Splat is pretty terrible, but it's a non-road drop. Review Treason sucks. Whislatter's Coil is uncommon. I'm not sure if any of these have a high variety that I forgot. Let's take a look at Whislatter's Coil. Whislatter's Coil. Oh yeah, this is definitely high variety. Eye of Chila, this is uncommon, I know that for sure. Serpent's Egg is pretty much nothing interesting as far as I remember. Eye of Chila, yep. Serpents, yep, good. We have Levinstone, and as far as I'm aware, Levinstone is just rare. Yeah. Uncommon. Snakebit also goes into the uncommon. I'm not sure about Snakebit. Seed of Cataclysm. I have no idea about that. Seed of Cataclysm. Haven't seen that. Seed of Cataclysm. High variety, okay. And the Various, and this is high variety, and that is Gamble high variety, and we're gonna slap Prevent Hiding on this one. Idol of Oildern, it's pretty good. Gonna give it an early aspect, but it's not particularly expensive. Igni Ferris, Black Card, Everlasting Gaze, early and high variety. Rawhide, Midnight Braid. I think Midnight is just a random one. I actually like Magionauts quite a bit. It's very comfortable at the start of the league. Keyhole. This just looks bad. I think it was bad. Ligurium and Pandemonius. I have no idea about Ligurium. Pandemonius was X dash drop and it wasn't very good as well. Crackle Keep and Blistering Bond. Just to confirm, Crackle and Blistering both completely random rings. Rondo of Fragility, I think I found it once. It does have variety, but it was really good. Coward's Legacy. Coward's Legacy is just a random belt, and I think it was actually very, very bad compared to what it was in PoE1. Bryn Bust, which kind of shame because in PoE1 it's very, very cool. Birthright Buckle, random belts. Statue random belts. Soul Tether. Random belt. Bloodstone, the Anvil. The Anvil has a really cool corruption, but I'm not sure about that. Then we get to Inferno class, which is pretty random. Then we have Aura's Resolve, which is a non-vote drop. This is not a vote drop. Incense Relic, non-vote drop. Yeah, we get to all of these relics. And do not hide these, please. Same for this. So there's just one expensive. Oh, there's two expensive relics, right? And the other ones are random. Winter's Bite is kind of silly. You know what? I'm gonna slap it in. I don't know. I'm gonna ignore that. Incomplete. No, we're gonna ignore those anchor. Do not put them anywhere. They are not supposed to drop. Sacred Flame is a non-vote drop. It only drops the Arbiter, and Guiding Palm is gonna just bad. Death Harp, kinda cool early on, I think, but that is about it. Burden of Shadows is a non-vote drop. Olro Vasara, I assume it's from Olros, a non-vote drop. Font of Power, just random stuff. Frostbreath, Hokan, Grimnor, Lifesprig, Matia, Crescent Quarters, yeah, okay. Crossbow, lot of random stuff. None of these are particularly interesting. In general, the weapon situation in PoE2 is... Yeah, it's... let's put it this way, it is not exactly great. Let's prevent hiding on this. And have variety. And then we get to those. Prevent hiding. And we finally get to the Grand Spectrum. And this is also a variety item, I think. All right, so let's save that. Let's only take a look at the ones that we're changing. And I'm specifically looking for ones that were potentially in the Black Suncrest, right? This is high variety, prevent hiding. There's a lot of things going into that. No, I'm not actually sure about all of these outcomes, so we're gonna triple check everything before we do any application there. Bankout, thank you so much. Kamal, I'm doing a field update, doing some automation to improve the quality of the field updates, but I need to rethink how certain tiering choices work here. Okay, that is fine. Let us re-tier things. So now there's a lot more tiering decision going on based on master stitch team. Let me review that. I don't think this is price fixed. I think no one's actually using this anymore. Okay, why is this multi special high? Weird. Anchor. 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 We need to rethink many of these choices over the next days, but for now this is working good enough as a start. Okay. So, what have you done? We got the very, very simple baseline tiering done, but it definitely needs a lot more work. Now, this is definitely not ripe for any sort of publishing, but it is. So some of them are. I feel like the Omen tiering and the let's see what else. Essence tiering, maybe emotional tiering is actually alright, but maybe the course. But everything else, like the currency, the fragments, and the uniques, definitely do not have the level of maturity we need to publish that anytime soon. So we will need to review this for a while before we do any sort of publishing there. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That being said, guys, I think this is actually it for today. I'm very tired, I'm coughing. I think I should go to sleep earlier. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to be back over the next days for more streaming. We'll be doing kind of alternating between game development and filter development. Tomorrow we'll be doing some game development, some Unity game development, maybe tomorrow morning. And hopefully on Sunday, some filter development again. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next time. Bye.